If you're looking to buy a microphone for your Sony camera, then you should check out the Sony ECM B1M because this is a shotgun microphone that's both powered by and sends signal to your camera directly through the hot shoe. This microphone has several features built in that make it super sleek and easy to use on any Sony camera as long as it has the MiShoe. What's nice about this microphone versus traditional shotgun microphones is first, you don't have to use a mic cable, and second, you also don't have to worry about running any battery life or power on it because the power comes straight from the camera. So you just get all your power directly from the Sony camera. This microphone is a shotgun style microphone that has several different pickup patterns and it has some great settings that are built into it that allow you to customize your audio experience. And it sends all the sound through a digital interface into your camera, so you're not converting your analog sound back into digital through the camera's often noisy preamps. Especially in the Sony world, the camera preamps can really mess up the sound quality of even a decent microphone. The ECM B1M includes the microphone that has a built-in shock mount, and it also has a dead cat windscreen for the top, and you get a little case to keep it in as well. I'm using the microphone right now on my Sony a7 IV, just slotted directly onto the hot shoe. I'm running my levels at 5 and all the other switches are set to stock on this, but we are using manual audio instead of auto. The problem with using the auto mode on the microphone is it can adjust your settings up and down for how much volume you're getting out of the microphone as you're shooting. This can make it harder to edit because you're going to be fighting whatever the microphone decided to do in the first place when you're making your edits. This is a sound test of the Sony a7 IV's built-in microphone. This is a sound test of the Sony ECM B1M on my Sony a7 IV with all the switches set to stock in a manual level of 5. This is a sound test of my Sony a7 IV with the Rode Video Micro plugged into it. The biggest allure of this microphone is the fact that it doesn't use any audio cables and that you don't have to worry about battery life. The audio quality on it is not amazing, but it does sound pretty good. Here I'm sitting about 18 to 24 inches away from the microphone. I have it elevated slightly over me just on top of my Sony camera. In terms of build quality and overall construction of the mic, I do think Sony could have made it feel a little bit more durable, and I also feel like the shock mount is a little bit noisy on the microphone. Another thing I really like about this microphone is you can easily adjust your settings while you're shooting. If you want to change your audio levels on your camera, then typically you'll have to get into the menu and adjust your levels up and down with the scroll wheel. But with this microphone, all the controls are just on the back of the mic, so it's really easy to adjust your volume even while you're in the middle of a shoot. Let's go over what all the different switches and controls do on the back. The first switch is digital or analog. If you use this on an older camera, it might need to be set into analog mode, and your camera will actually pop up and tell you that you need to flip the switch to analog if it doesn't work. Otherwise, I would set it straight to digital because it's just able to communicate with the camera better, and it's one less conversion that the microphone has to undertake. Next, we have the pickup pattern switch. You get super directional, unidirectional, and omnidirectional. Super directional has a very narrow field of pickup pattern, and it rejects most of the noise from the sides and all of the noise from the back. Then unidirectional rejects a little bit less noise from the sides and still rejects all the noise from the back. So it still does a really good job at getting the sound that's mostly in front of the microphone. And last, omnidirectional doesn't do any rejection on the back side of the microphone. So that's good if you're holding the camera and you want to make comments behind the microphone as well as having it pick up sound that's in front of the microphone. Right now we have the microphone set to the super directional pattern, and now we're turning the mic to the side so you can hear how it starts to reject the sound now that it's pointed away from me. Now I've got the mic set to omnidirectional so you can see how the sound comes in more even from the sides and the back when the microphone's not pointed straight at me. This is a sound test with the microphone set to super directional. This is a sound test with the microphone set to unidirectional. This is a sound test with the microphone set to omnidirectional. The next switch is ATT or attenuation, and what attenuation does is it just lowers the amount of volume that's coming into the microphone to avoid any potential distortion or clipping. So if you're at a louder concert or a loud event, you might want to set your switch to -20 just to keep it from clipping. Otherwise, if you're shooting like I am right now, just in a quiet room, I would set it to 0 so you get the most sensitivity out of the microphone. And then you have the volume knob, and what this allows you to do is just adjust the gain that the mic is putting out into the camera. And you'll want to use your camera's meters to see the audio levels that are coming in to make sure you're getting a signal, and it's also really great if you can plug headphones into your camera to monitor your audio as well. Also, the volume knob only works if the switch is set to manual, so there's the auto manual. If you leave the switch on auto, then the microphone and the camera are going to determine its own levels. If you set it to manual, it'll follow whatever you have the knob set to. Finally, there is the filter switch. There's NC, LC, and off. Off means there's no filter applied to the sound at all. You're just getting the raw sound of the microphone. NC stands for noise cancellation. It's supposed to remove a little bit of background noise, but I find it's best to leave that off. And then LC or low cut cuts the lower frequencies out, which is really great for avoiding bumping sounds, like if you're actually holding the camera and moving it around, or it can avoid the low rumble of a vehicle or an air conditioner or other sounds like that. I typically leave it in off and apply all my audio processing in my video editor software. This is a sound test with the filter turned off. This is a sound test with the filter set to LC. This is a sound test with the filter set to NC. The ECM B1M costs about $350, which is pretty steep for an on-camera microphone, especially when you compare it to some of the alternatives that are out there that Rode makes, like the VideoMic NTG or the VideoMic Go 2 sounds really good for a much more affordable price. The main advantages of the ECM B1M are that it's a really clean setup and you don't have to worry about any cables at all. So you're not going to have to worry about charging it or keeping it powered, but it's also going to be the least versatile microphone because you can only use it on top of your camera. You can't boom it closer to your talents. You're always going to get the best sound quality out of a shotgun microphone if it's just barely out of frame. That's one con to this microphone. You're always going to be limited to how close you can sit to the camera. So if you're not sitting super close to the camera, it's really only going to be good for picking up scratch audio or better microphone audio than your camera's built-in microphone. Sony also has a couple other microphones that go on the hot shoe. I'm hoping to check some of the other ones out, but this is still regarded as the best sounding of the microphones, but it's also the most expensive, so keep that in mind. I would recommend buying it if you want that clean, cableless design, and if you're shooting a ton of talking head videos in a controlled environment like here, where you can be really close up to your camera. Otherwise, I would only recommend it if you want to spend extra money just to get that clean setup. There's just better microphones that are out there for less money, but you lose out on the convenience that the ECM B1M has to offer. If you're interested in buying this mic, I do have links in the description below for it. Or if you have any other questions or comments about it, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.